Cupcake Jemma channel. It's me, Dane, and I'm here with Sally.
Hi, hi.
At C&D Soho, and today we are going to show you how to make an epic Biscoff s'mores cake. Now, before Christmas, Sally made the Ferrero Rocher cake, and we put a poll on the Cupcake Jemma stories to see if you wanted us to make that or the Biscoff s'mores, and the Ferrero won by just a smidgen.
Literally by like 2% or something mad like that.
Yeah, and we thought we don't want to leave you hanging, so today that's what we're going to make for you.
Yeah, it is an epic Crumbs and Doilies style cake, so that kind of means that we've got loads going on. We've got 4 layers of rich, decadent, moist chocolate sponge. We're going to fill these layers with a real smooth, silky Biscoff Buttercream, and then we're going to fill that with pools of Biscoff Spread. We're going to have Biscoff Crumbs for a little bit of crunch, and then we're going to ice it, we're going to drip it, and then we're even going to top it off with a toasted meringue icing.
Oh
so
my God.
Literally, like, don't make any plans for this evening because we've got a lot to get through.
Yeah, it's a lot to do, so we better get started.
Yes, I am going to leave you to it.
Okay.
I'll see you in a bit.
See you in a bit. The first thing to make is the chocolate sponges. So you've seen us make this chocolate sponge before. It's a Crumbs and Doilies classic. It's an oil-based sponge, and it's a wet and dry situation. So I've got my coffee here, which is going straight into my large bowl. You can use water if you want to. The coffee just brings the chocolate flavour out in the cake. And I've got 390 millilitres of vegetable oil. I realised I didn't tell you about the coffee, but the description box below will have all of the quantities. I've also got 450 millilitres of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk or you can't find it, you can actually make buttermilk by using some whole milk and mixing in a little bit of lemon juice. So I'm just going to give that a little whisk together. And to this mixture, I'm going to add 6 large eggs. And I'm just going to whisk it together until the eggs are broken up. So next is my dry ingredients. I've got here 650 grams of plain flour, and then I've got 690 grams of caster sugar, 120 grams of cocoa powder, and we've got some raising agents and salt. I've got 2 teaspoons of bicarbonate of soda and 1 teaspoon of salt. Our mixture is nice and smooth and really thick. Look at that. So that's all ready to go. I've got 4 8-inch tins, which I'm going to pre-grease with some grease spray. So that's all ready. I'm just going to take my whisk out and switch to a spatula so I can just give the bowl a nice scrape down to get any bits at the bottom. And we're just going to divide it equally between the tins. Fab, so these are going to go into the oven at 175 degrees Celsius for about 22 to 25 minutes.
Okay, so whilst the cakes are baking, I'm going to make some vanilla buttercream with you guys. But like I said before, we're going to be using Biscoff Buttercream, vanilla buttercream, and a little bit of chocolate buttercream, which is a lot to make. So I'm going to show you how you can make one batch of kind of vanilla, and then we're going to change it a bit later to get our other flavours. So as usual, we're going to start with some soft butter. So I've got 750 grams of unsalted butter, and this is how soft it is, right? It's got to be spreadable. And if it's not this soft, then soften it a little bit more. Just pop it in the microwave for a few seconds at a time because we want it to be soft so that it can whip up. So I'm going to put it all into my stand mixer here. You can do this with an electric hand whisk as well. These are just kind of better because you can go off and leave it whipping on its own for a while. So we're going to put the butter in, and I'm going to turn the stand mixer on to a medium-high speed, and I'm just going to leave it whipping for about 5 minutes. It's going to go really pale in colour, it's going to be fluffy, it'll look volumized, and it'll be ready for some icing sugar. Okay, so before we put the icing and sugar in, just take a look at this butter. Can you see how white it is? It kind of looks like clotted cream or something. It looks absolutely delicious. But it is only butter. So we need to put some icing sugar in. So in total, I've got 1,300 grams of icing sugar, which seems like a lot, but this is a big cake, guys. So we're gonna put this in 2 halves. We're gonna beat it really well in between each addition. All right, so next up, we're gonna add some flavor, which is gonna be some vanilla, obviously. So I'm gonna pop in about half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And of course, you can get yourself some of this vanilla extract from CupcakeJemma.com. It is the stuff that we've used at Crumbs and Doilies for like ever. It is absolutely delicious. So head over there and get yourself some. But I'm also going to put in a little pinch of salt. Just a little bit. Again, I don't want to make this salty, but it's going to help pull out all the flavors. And now I'm going to start my mixer. And then I'm going to gradually pour in some milk. So I've got about 6 to 9 tablespoons of whole milk here, and I'm going to add it gradually. And we just want to keep adding it until we get to the consistency that we want, okay? So don't go ahead and put 9 tablespoons in because you might end up with it too sloppy, okay? You want to kind of imagine what it's going to be like to work with. Can you spread this on a cake nice and easily? That's what I want you to think. Okay, so let's get pouring in some milk. And now you will be left with the most delicious, fluffiest, softest buttercream you ever did see. So now I'm just going to store this in a Tupperware container. If you're making this in advance, which is a really great idea, this keeps for a couple of days, then you do want to make sure you keep it airtight because it will go a little bit crusty and that's not ideal. So cling film over the bowl or put it in a Tupperware container.
And our cakes are done, hopefully. We'll just give them a check. I've got a skewer here. I'm just going to poke it in. And if it comes out clean, they're ready, which they are. So I'm just going to pop them on the racks and leave them to cool.
We are back, and now we've got our cooled cake sponges here. We've got our lovely vanilla buttercream. We've got Biscoff Spread, Biscoff Crumbs. It is time to start assembling this amazing cake. So the first thing that we need to do is trim down our sponges so they're all nice and even, which of course you don't have to do at home, but if you want to get that super sharp professional look, then
yeah,
you kind of got to do it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use this round cutter that I've got here, which comes in this set of ring cutters that you can get on CupcakeJemma.com, because I've baked an 8-inch cake, or Dane baked an 8-inch cake, sorry. I'll take credit for it. And this is a 7-inch cake ring. So I'm just going to pop that on top. We're going to chomp it out like a giant cookie and then take off these excess bits here.
Oh, so you're chomping it out first. Usually I trim it and then chomp it.
Well, my top tip for this, because this cake's quite kind of tough, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's not really moist and delicious. It is, it's just the crust can be quite hard to get your leveler in.
Yeah.
So I like to trim that off first. And then I've got my leveler here, just make sure that both sides are even. And I'm gonna pop it in, and then as usual, very gently sliding backwards and forwards all the way through. And again, don't throw these away.
No.
If you haven't seen our video that we did with Nikki for cake truffles, go and check that out, and you could make like the most delicious cake truffle with this, couldn't you?
Yeah, you can make Biscoff s'mores ones with a toasted meringue on the outside.
Delicious. Cool, so we just need to do that with all of our sponges.
Nice. So Sally, while Sally's preparing the sponges, I'm going to prepare the buttercream. So she's made quite a lot of vanilla buttercream here, but what we're going to do is split it. So I'm going to put some in a bowl, and this will become Biscoff buttercream. So what I've got here is a load of Biscoff Spread, which I've melted in the microwave so it's nice and runny. And I'm going to drizzle this straight into the buttercream. Now you can add as much or as little as you like to this. Just do it to your preference. I'm going to add quite a lot because who doesn't love a lot of Biscoff buttercream? And I'm just going to mix it all together until it's nice and smooth. So look at this lush Biscoff buttercream, and that's what we're going to use to fill our cake. So I'm just going to take a small cranked palette knife, which you can also buy on CupcakeJemma.com, and take a little bit of the icing just to spread onto my cake board, just to secure our cake. And then I'm going to take the layers that Sally has put in down and put it down onto my cake board. Make sure that your layers are nice and central in the cake board, because you don't want to stack your whole cake and find out that it's a bit skewiffed towards the end, because that won't be good. And then I'm just going to take a nice dollop of the Biscoff buttercream, plop it in the middle, and smooth it out with my cranked palette knife. All I'm doing here is just working it to the edge of the cake, but making sure that it doesn't go over the edge because we don't want it to all splodge out of the sides. So once I've done that, I'm just gonna spin it round to smooth it off, and then I'm gonna take the palette knife and just using this kind of tip, just put a little bit more pressure just to run it round so that it creates a little divot to pour our Biscoff in.
This is the best bit.
And don't be shy, put lots in. Put lots of Biscoff in.
If I put my mouth like that, will you?
Yes, I will.
Pour it straight in.
So just smooth it round, make a nice circle, and then add some crumbs. And then all I'm going to do is do the same again and repeat the process.
Absolutely necessary. But it's absolutely necessary.
Filling's all done, and we're just going to pop on our last layer. Now for this one, you want to flip it upside down so you get the base that was touching the tin on that side, so we get the least amount of crumbage possible.
That was like the speediest thing. If you can't ice a cake as fast as Dane, don't worry guys.
It takes practice. So now we're going to crumb coat using the vanilla icing.
Yeah, so crumb coats are like really important. Like a lot of people ask if you have to do a crumb coat, and I mean we'd always say yes, particularly if like us you have trimmed the edges off because you've sort of exposed all this crumb, and we're going to be decorating this with white icing. So if you've got chocolate crumb with white icing and you get all those crumbs coming out of it, then it's not the best look. So this kind of crumb coat locks all of those crumbs in, which means we can get a lovely, smooth, crumb-free top coat. So Dane's just applying it at the speed of light with a palette knife. Any tips?
Any tips? I'm using a straight edge palette knife. I tend to find that helps. Sometimes you can get longer palette knives that are also cranked, but they're kind of a bit awkward to use. So try and find a straight edged one. And I always tend to start from the bottom and kind of work my way up so it's kind of secure from the foundation, and then you're going upwards. And then the last bit, which I'll get to in a few seconds, is I'll just plop a little bit of icing on the top, and then use my the small crank palette knife to just spread it out.
So you can see he's put quite a lot of icing on, but that's kind of, it's easier to put more on and take it off rather than try and put a thin coat on in the first place. So you'll see in a minute he's going to kind of scrape it all off.
Yeah. So I've just got plastic scraper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called. Smoother scraper. They're all
so
the same.
And just try and keep it, what is that?
Vertical.
Vertical, 90 degrees. And try and spread your fingers so you get an even amount of pressure. And just go all the way around, keeping your turntable at a nice speed. I'm doing that thing again, aren't I, Sally? What I did in the rainbow stripe video. I'm like down so I can see.
You should see this position. I mean, like Dane's never like smaller than me.
Now I'm like the same height. And any little bits that you've kind of missed, just give them a little touch up, and then you can run round once again with the scraper.
Yeah, this doesn't need to be like super duper smooth and even. You just want to try and make it as straight up and down as you can, because the neater it is at this stage, the easier it is to make it neat in the end. Yeah. That makes sense.
And then once I've gone around the sides, all I'm doing is just keeping the scraper kind of almost flat but at an angle, about 45 degrees, and just bringing in these corner bits to make it nice and smooth and flat on top.
We've actually got loads of like a while ago we did loads of Tuesday tip videos, and I'm pretty sure that we've done like how to crumb coat, how to fill. So if you want to see it a bit more in detail, we'll put a whole list of them in the description box below.
Yeah.
So you can learn.
And then some of you always ask how to get the board clean. We'll show you a little bit of that later on, but I always tend to scrape, just use the edge of the scraper and just kind of edge away at those bits to clean it so that you're not left with hard icing, because this is going to go into the fridge to chill and it'll be a lot harder to get off. It's all done.
Done. So yeah, that's going to go in the fridge for kind of minimum half an hour. You want to be able to kind of press it and it's not going to move.
Yeah.
So we'll put it in the fridge and we'll be back in about half an hour.
Yeah.
See you then. It is time to top coat our cake. This has been in the fridge for about half an hour, maybe a little bit more. We had some lunch. Yeah. It's nice and firm, so we can apply quite a bit of pressure to make sure that we're getting a really super sharp cake. So whilst I do this, Dane is going to make some ganache.
Yeah, I've got 75 grams of 50% chocolate chips here, and I've got the same amount of double cream. So I'm just going to pop it in the microwave on 30-second blasts until it's all melted together, nice and glossy.
Alrighty, so we're gonna take our vanilla buttercream, and if you feel like your buttercream's kind of stiffened up a bit, you want to put it in the microwave for a few seconds at a time, just enough that it gets nice and smooth, because it's really hard to do this when it's stiff. Give it a good stir to get rid of any air bubbles, and now I like to top coat by starting with a big blob on the top of the cake. And then I'm going to take my large straight edge palette knife, smush it to the edges. Again, putting loads of icing on that we're then going to smooth off at the end. And once I've got it on the top, and then we can put it on the sides. And once your icing's on, grab back your smoother, and we're just going to smooth it out like Dane did on the crumb coat. And then we're going to cut in these big frilly bits on the top, just like Dane did before, taking our scraper and pulling it into the center. And then just get rid of any excess icing on your smoother so that it doesn't go back on the cake. Okay, so now we're just going to put that back in the fridge for about 10 minutes to set before we apply all of the decorations.
Okay, so we've got our cake back. It's been chilling in the fridge for about 10 minutes. I've melted a small amount of 50% chocolate, and we've just put it, I'm just going to put it in some of the buttercream that Sally made earlier. So obviously we mentioned that we were going to split it. We split it into Biscoff, and we're going to use it for some chocolate buttercream now. So I'm just going to mix this together. So it makes a lovely chocolate buttercream.
I love chocolate buttercream.
Oh,
Look how
best,
silky it's gone.
So silky. That. Delicious. Okay, so what we're going to do is make a little band that will go around the bottom of this. And I've got my small cranked palette knife back again. And I'm just going to take a small amount on the end and just pop it on the base. So as I'm putting this on, I'm just wiggling my palette knife back and forth, and don't worry about this being too neat. It doesn't need to be kind of a perfect line. It can be a little bit rocky, because after we've done with the palette knife, I'm then going to use the scraper. It's a very handy tool in cake decorating, just to smooth that out.
I think it is the handiest tool.
Yeah.
I really honestly think that like the tiny bit of plastic is the best tool ever.
Yeah. And there we go. Just smoothing it out like how I did with the crumb coat earlier, and you saw Sally did with the top coat. Just keeping it nice and flat.
Resuming the cake smoothing position.
There
Lovely.
we go. That's all ready for you.
Okay, so now I'm basically going to do the exact same thing, but with ganache. Because we like to just take things further and further here. So we've got the ganache that Dane made. It's stiffened up a little bit, so it's a bit more kind of gloopy. And this is a bit hard to get on because it is obviously like a lot runnier than the buttercream. So the tip here is to just do a little bit at a time. So get some ganache, swipe it on, and then just move on to the next bit. You won't really be able to push it as much as Dane did, like going forwards and backwards. You just want to do a tiny bit at a time. So once you've got that on, and we've spent ages making it look nice, we're just gonna cover it up with some biscuits.
But it's just the crunch that we need. So the Biscoff crumbs that we used earlier, just push them up the sides. And that is the final few crumbs on the bottom. Made a little bit of a mess, but we're just going to clear it up with the crank palette knife again, just kind of swiping them away. And then what we'll do is just push them on the side as well, so they're firmly in position. Okay, that's all neatened up. And Sally, what we're going to do next?
We're gonna double drip it.
This is very exciting.
Yeah, because this deserves more than one drip.
Yeah.
So we've got the rest of the ganache, which you can just warm up a little bit if it feels a bit gloopy, but just literally a couple of seconds in the microwave at a time because you don't want to overheat the cream because it will split the ganache. So that's going to go on first, but we want to leave quite a big space between each drip so that we can put the Biscoff drip in between. All right, shut up, Sally. Let's do this. Piping a little bit of ganache on the edge there just to sort of fill the gaps, and then Dane's going to take over with drip numero dos.
The Biscoff. Fabulous. Look how glorious this cake looks already, but it's going to get even better.
Even more glorious.
We're going to top it with some Swiss meringue, which I made by placing 2 large egg whites into a bowl, adding 170 grams of caster sugar, and then I whisked it together, putting it over a bain-marie, and just whisked until the mixture is nice and smooth and all the sugar's dissolved. You can check this by just rubbing your fingers together, and if there's no grains of sugar, then you're good to go. Take it off of the heat and pour it into your stand mixer with a whisk attachment, and then whip it on a high speed until it's nice and thick and glossy. Then you want to add some flavour into it. So I added some vanilla extract and a pinch of salt, and voila! There, you've got your Swiss meringue ready to go on top of the cake.
Okay, so I'm going to put this on top of the cake. I'm literally just going to dollop it all on.
Go for it.
On it goes. Oh yeah, it's so sticky and bouncy. So I'm just going to get the little palette knife actually, and we're just going to mess it up a bit. And then Dane is going to blowtorch it, and it's just going to be the most fabulous thing you ever did see. So you can just make it really spiky, because the spiky bits, once you torch them, they're like the crispy delicious bits, aren't they?
Yeah.
Over to you.
And
point it at my face.
firing up the blowtorch.
I love it when a little bit goes on fire.
Yeah, it smells really good as well.
Just like a s'more. A s'more or a s'more?
S'more.
I don't know. Anyway,
S'mores.
a s'more is not a schmore without some biscuits. So we've got some more Lotus biscuits here, which we're just going to chuck on top just to finish it off. Can we eat it?
I think we can. It's ready.
Okay, right, let's get it off this turntable. Some people would be like, oh, it's so sad that you just made it and cut into it.
No, it's
No.
made for eating.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yeah, do the honours. Whoa, look at that. And that's why you put loads of Biscoff in the centre.
Yes, look at it. You've got to have a look in here. We've got the cake, we've got a delicious buttercream, we've got those Biscoff pools, Biscoff crumbs. I'm absolutely covered. I haven't even eaten it yet. Right, ready?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know which bit to get. Oh, well, you need meringue.
Yeah.
You need meringue, okay.
That's so good.
I can hear your crunch.
That's the biscuits, and the biscuits inside, and the Biscoff spread just takes it to another level.
Like, if you haven't had Biscoff before, what are you doing?
Yeah. What is it? And the chocolate cake is so squishy.
Yeah, really, really moist.
Yeah.
It looks like fudge. Oh, it's amazing. This is so good.
Once you make this chocolate cake, you'll never look at another chocolate cake recipe again.
I feel like we should stop eating so we can talk.
Yeah.
Sorry, hang on. We've got stuff to tell you guys. So if you really enjoyed this recipe video, then please tag us in all your photos if you're going to make it. Loads and loads of you made the Ferrero Rocher cake.
Yeah.
And your photos were like absolutely insane. Like some of the cakes, I was like, is that a Crumbs cake?
Incredible. And some of you even put like little Ferrero Rochers on top that you made yourself.
Yes.
Like, so cool.
Love it. Really awesome work. So thank you so much. And do keep tagging us. So you've got @CupcakeJemma and you can hashtag CupcakeJemma as well.
Yeah.
This is @Dane Pemberton. I'm @Sally Dowd. Obviously Crumbs and Doilies, so you can see what we're doing back at the bakery because we've got all sorts of exciting things, especially now that hopefully lockdown is starting to lift.
Yes.
And we'll be back in Soho really soon, we hope. We literally
Really soon.
cannot wait. And do head over to CupcakeJemma.com as well.
Yeah, all the things that we used in the video today you can buy to make this cake.
Yes,
Make it a lot
absolutely.
easier. Yeah, and also whilst you're here, you may as well just watch another video because you're already here anyway. And what else are you doing?
Are they here?
Yeah.
They're here.
They'll be somewhere. Just click. There's loads.
There are loads of videos for everything you need. And if you want to see something else that we've not done before, then please keep putting your comments below because we love to come up with we love you giving us new recipes and new challenges. I've got verbal diarrhea right now. All I want to do is eat this cake.
We just need to eat some more cake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Bye-bye.
Bye.